for footballers on the island. My background, I went into coaching at 17. I was a professional footballer at Morecambe, and when we were in the academy there, we did a BTEC sports science. So there was a couple of routes to go down to football. At that time, I was looking at getting a professional club, and I got released from Bournemouth when I was there, and I went on trial at a few different clubs, Reading, Exeter, and I didn't get a contract. So Morecambe were in the National League at that time, and Morecambe were offering another opportunity to get into the professional game for players that didn't get taken on by a professional club, so like one step down. And with that, we were able to study as well, to do like the course that you're doing. So we had a chance of getting back into football, professional football, but also we had the opportunity to study and use that if we needed to, like take a different route back up. But at the club there, they delivered soccer camps and soccer schools, so they used to get us kind of youngsters in to deliver most of the coaching, to be fair, which was great for us because it meant that we're getting experience, and I guess that's key in terms of whatever career you're going down is having that hands-on experience and learning the trade, and my trade was football and now coaching. So when at 17 I was still playing, so I did bits of coaching in between, then I went on to do my level 1, level 2, level 3 UEFA B, it was called then, I think it's still called that now, qualifications. So that took about several years doing that, and whilst I was getting my qualifications, I was also hands-on, kind of getting that experience coaching up and down the country, England, Ireland, Australia as well, coached there, and a bit in Spain. So when I was near the end of my football career, I was part-time, so semi-professional then, so I was topping up my football wage with coaching, so I was football in the community at Morecambe, so going around schools. Wasn't only delivering football, did dodgeball, basketball, futsal, gymnastics, doing everything really, because it needed those. A lot of schools didn't want just football, they wanted a whole curriculum of sport, so it had to be quite flexible. So that's what I did then. Then I came back to Guernsey at 30, so I was away for about 14 years, left Guernsey at 16, came back at 30. And then I wanted to go into football coaching then, so I looked to start up my own business. As soon as I came back, I went around the schools, sent letters out, and I didn't really get any joy, any kind of feedback. Didn't get anyone say, yes, come in, we'll pay you to come in to the schools, we'll offer you this job. Got nothing. And then I give up pretty quick on that. Maybe give it a few weeks, a month, a couple of months, and then I just got a job. I think I got a job in builders merchants at Norman Piet. I did a year there, which was good fun. But it wasn't something I wanted to go into, and then I found myself in social care, so residential support work, because it's a little bit like football coaching but life coaching, working with people, families, children, so a very rewarding job, and always learning. Every day was different, and learned lots about kind of social care. I then went into further studying. So I did my VQ level 3, then Assessors Award, VQ 5 in Leadership in Management, and then I went on to do a social work degree. And the social work degree was I knew I didn't want to be a social worker for lots of reasons really, but I really liked the learning and the study of social work. Being a social worker is very difficult profession, but particularly in Guernsey, you know people, know families, very difficult to work here, being from here and knowing lots of people. But the social work qualification itself, I did in Aberdeen. It was during COVID, so quite quite hard work studying, and then when we were in COVID, obviously working in residential care, there was still people that needed looking after, homes needed to be open, so we doing a degree and working sort of 10, 15 hour days was tough going, but got through that, and I think the degrees really helped with my football coaching because we did a lot around communication, different people's learning styles, so all of you in here will have completely different learning styles, whether you're more of a visual learner, so you're seeing it from a screen or someone showing you, or a listener, or just doing it yourself and learning from that. And that helps in terms of teaching and communicating with different players. If you look at footballers, everyone responds differently. Some might need motivating, some players are self-motivated, some players struggle with confidence, are constantly building confidence. So all these things I find really interesting. And as I say, I love coaching. I'm really lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I think when I had a crossroads, when I started the business, I was managing in my area, so I was very settled, salary, sick leave, annual leave. I went from that to nothing, no money coming in, nothing. It was a big gamble at the time. Got 2 children, mortgage, lots of bills. Guernsey's a really expensive place to live in, but I do feel that when you've got that passion and you to do something, and you believe in yourself, and you believe it's going to work, and then you should always go for it and try it. That's what I've always done with my football. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't worked out, and that's what I've continued to do in my kind of professional life after football. So I think it's for you at your stage, having those dreams, having those goals, visualising what can happen. Try not to put limitations on what you can achieve in whatever it is that you're going for. Because if you believe it enough and you're willing to put in the hours, put in the hard work, study, learn, develop, then I think you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Any questions? I think in terms of styles, if those of you that are interested in coaching, as I say, I think doing it, so if you wanted to football coach for instance, I think there's a lot of textbook coaches out there now that have never played the game, never felt what it is to win, lose, draw, ups and downs, psychological aspects of the game, but they're intelligent and they can study and they can read and they can kind of repeat off what they've read. I think there's a lot of that now. You think of how football has evolved in different sports into data, statistics, sports science. All of those things are good and have a place, but I think there's definitely what I believe in is that to be really good, I feel like you need to understand what you're doing. You know, for instance, if I was going to a golf pro to improve my golf, and the golf pro can't swing the club, I'm going to be thinking, well, what are you going to teach me if you can't swing the club? So I think there is some of that in terms of in the UK more so, where everyone's a coach with no real kind of substance behind it other than they can read back what they've kind of studied. So you probably see that a lot of ex-pros will talk about that now. When you think about the academies in the UK and how many academies there are, and the business behind that, the development academies and so on and so on, it's not all for the better. All the data, all the sports science, it's not all for the better.
Over here, when I've seen like all the clubs doing their drills and stuff, they're quite often doing very kind of standard drills, but then the sort of stuff you're doing is different. And these guys are about to start after Christmas planning their sessions. Where do you get your ideas for your drills?
So I think that comes down to kind of what I was saying in terms of my own experience. So having had a flame, being out there and doing it myself has enabled me to have large number of training drills and methods behind me. Of course, there is tons online, so there is lots on YouTube, there's lots everywhere, Instagram, you know, so there is lots of good drills. I think it is good to have an idea, but for me, trying to be authentic as well. I want to be creative and figure out what works, and putting drills together is important rather than just copying. I mean, ultimately, coaching for generations is a bit of a copying model. You know, if you look at some of the drills I do, although I think I'm creating it myself, really I've probably been shown it by one of my old coaches. You know, so I'm in a sense copying one of my coaches from there. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I just maybe try and see what works. Try it yourself as well. So that's what often, if there's something new that I'm going to try with a player or a team, then I'll go and do it myself, see how it feels, see what kind of how hard it is, the intensity is, what benefits, whether it's benefiting the dribbling side of it or the physical side of it. So yeah, that would be mine. I don't do so much now, but when I first started coaching years ago, I'd be really meticulous with my planning, session plans, what I'm trying to achieve, what the goals, trying to get out of the session. I still do that now, but more so in my head and writing it down. Every now and then I did. And certainly when I first started back into coaching, because I've been out of it for a while, I was back to writing everything down.
How do you deal with bad behaviour?
Behaviour, so I guess behaviour was helped me with the social work profession, because I did a lot of training in behaviour support, so looking at kind of strategies, but also ABCs, so with the consequences, antecedents, behaviour, consequences. So looking at the antecedent, why someone behaves the way they are. So understanding that is quite key. So for instance, I had a player one session who was kind of just sitting out, and it looked like he was on the outside messing around, but kind of instinct told me there was probably something more to that. So after having a conversation with the player, there was more going on, than what it was. It wasn't just a case of messing around. But if you don't ask these questions, then you would just react by sort of either sitting them out. Or I think behaviour-wise, try and be consistent in my sessions. So if there's issues, if the concentration levels are low or poor, then try and get on top of that straight away, bring them in. So I do a lot of that. Right, come in then guys, and then talk about what I've seen. I feel like you're not concentrating enough, focusing enough, let's get back out there, let's have a good session. Being quite relentless with your positivity. I think, at the end of the day, they want kids and players to enjoy football, and although I want to teach and offer some guidance, I ultimately want them to enjoy playing and training. So criticism, you hear this a lot, and if you watch games, you can hear kids being shouted at and coaches sort of shouting the whole game. You think, God, if that was me, I'd be telling coaches shut up. But they're not there to be shouted at the whole game. And I think too much direction and information as well is off-putting, because you think, how much is a player going to take on board whilst they're playing the game? If you're constantly giving a message and directing the whole game, then how much are they going to take in? It's not about the coach, it's about your players, the players and the individuals that you're teaching and coaching. Okay for behaviour?
Yeah. You guys got questions? They're not normally this quiet. Why are you making this quiet for me? I think it's like respect, I guess. So, and we're saying about behaviour and how coaches are. There's in the same age group my child Gabriel's in, there's a club that had the most amount of kids at this club, and they did really well. They're getting the vet. They were always like winning all the divisions and everything. But the whole time, every time he went and did like competitions, this coach was just shouting and shouting and shouting and shouting at these kids, and the kids were just putting up with it, and the parents amazingly were putting up with it as well. But come year 7, they've now only got about 6 or 7 kids in that club, and all the children are either giving up or moved to other clubs. And it's almost like you can, I guess, be that type of coach to a certain point, but in the end, they'll walk. In the end, it won't be a positive experience, and they'll just quit.
That's
so
right.
It's such a shame.
Yeah, that's right. It could be a really. It's like when you watch, if you watch the minis games at say maybe under 10s level. If the keeper boots it long, if they play long ball the whole game, there is a chance on a small pitch that that's an effective strategy. Yeah. And
You get a goal, yeah.
So they score. So what happens is, well, that's effective. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But the trouble is, when they get a bit older and they're playing in bigger pitches against better players, it's no longer effective. So they don't really know what to do, like play out from the back or be really confident on the ball as defenders. They're just used to launching it long. So there's the quick, short-term successful, long-term not successful. And I guess that's the same thing about drilling and shouting at kids. Yes, you might get the initial reaction is they listen and they're taking on board every bit of advice you're giving, but what happens when they get a little bit older and they've got to think for themselves? And that's the thing, you want players to explore and learn strategies themselves rather than just being told it, because if they learn it themselves and you just helping create a positive environment for them to learn it, then it's going to sink in rather than just being told what to do all the time. And that's, I think, where people struggle, coaches definitely struggle with. But you've got to remember, in terms of coaching as well, in clubs and stuff, especially here, it's all voluntary, people got helping out. It's often very difficult to get coaches to stay in because of other commitments and whatnot. It's usually a parent.
Yeah, it's a
Can't
parent,
help,
isn't it?
you think, well, I'm here anyway, can you help out? So there's that as well. So it can't be too. A lot of times it's not intentional, I don't think.
Yeah, because they're not training people out there.
And then at about 2021, I was starting to think, well, am I just a conference player or just a national player? And for my coaching now, I don't want to have limitations, so I feel like I could perhaps branch out into UK, abroad, have online courses, online training. So online train, my own app, so football coaching app. So for players anywhere could use it. So in terms of you want this practice, you want to get really good at your left foot. I could show them ways on how to do that as quick as possible. Get better with your weak foot, and go into that in terms of passing and shooting. Also do maybe a little bit more travel. Ambition is to have more players make it professionally as well off the island, so I hope to have a kind of stable of players, a bit like boxing, where you've got a stable player you're working with, help them make it into professional football, and also be around to support them throughout that journey if they wish me to still be involved. That's another big ambition. But I guess a year in, a lot of kind of evidence or results, if you like, of what we're doing. 5 years is probably the time where we'll see it. I think.
Because you keep your groups quite small, don't you? And you've got waiting lists and stuff, and that's really effective. It kind of creates almost like a demand for it, because they can't get on, they need to create a new session for that group. Yeah. So that's quite a good way of kind of getting more customers.
Yeah, it is a good way. And when I first started, I wasn't able to do that because whilst people in football might have known my name from being a footballer, and played Guernsey FC when I came back and things like that, not many people would know that I coached before, so I had to kind of prove myself as a coach, and you're always doing that, but especially when you first start out, So at first it was a kind of pay as you play because it's private coaching. So there was no memberships, so anyone could come in. But sometimes I'd have 2 or 3 players one session. The next session I'd have 15. So it was very hard to manage in terms of regular kind of how many you're going to get in a session. As I was able to get my name out and kind of show that I can coach and what I can offer something different, then I was able to go into like memberships. So it's a monthly membership now, so I can then limit and manage the numbers. Having smaller groups is key, and the high coaching ratios. So sometimes we'll have 2, 3 coaches in a session. So whilst our numbers have gone up slightly from what I initially was going to have. I was basing those numbers off myself, just one person, whereas I'm able to bring in a couple of really good coaches. And we've still got really high ratios, but slightly more players. But we are limited in terms of the venues as well. So a lot of private academies, especially in the UK as well, they struggle with venues. Having their own venue. Not many people have their own venue, so you're then renting. The cost is up. But also limited times on the pitch or the venues that you rent out.
And like something you're doing differently to any other coach in Guernsey is using social media. How did that come about? How are you using it to...
Social media is a funny one because I never really used social media before I started coaching, but I had to show kind of and kind of show people what we were doing, get the word out, get the name out, and then also kind of looking at how can it be beneficial. So when we're putting out social media, it could be for a number of reasons. It could be kind of like we've got an event coming up, camps coming up, could be a new session that we've got, but also is it going to be beneficial for a player to watch maybe a certain drill or something they've never thought about, or like different aspects of the game. So like the FA have got 4 corner model, we've got psychological, technical, tactical, physical and social. So there's those 4 models that you look at in terms of teams and as players. So try and pick out kind of elements of that might be helpful. And it's not going to be helpful to everyone. When you put social media out, you're bound to get. I haven't had sort of criticism to me, but when you put stuff out, you've got to be willing to accept that not everyone's going to like what you're doing, and not everyone's going to think, they're going to have opinions, especially in a small island as well. So you've got to be quite brave to put yourself out there, to be shot at sometimes, but if you want to do something good, you've got to be willing to accept that you can have those. That comes with it. But more often than not, people are like what you're doing.
I think if you do the same as everyone else, you're only going to get to that level. If you want to be better, then you've got to show, demonstrate it, and just do something slightly different.
And pushing yourself and making yourself, if you're willing to put yourself in uncomfortable positions to learn, then you're going to grow and you keep growing. So in terms of what I'm going to do in the next 5 years and what I want to do, there's going to be times where it seems impossible, so Zico football coaching going somewhere abroad, or having coach in different countries. That sounds right now impossible, but it is achievable, it is doable, and I believe it can happen. So there's kind of, when I first started, did I believe we'd have memberships, 160 players? Not at all. But you kind of hopefully believe actually it could be really good. You continually trying to provide a great service, then things can happen. Good things can happen.
It's a very different atmosphere when you go down to watch it than when you normally go down to minis, because I've seen all the different clubs. My children have grown up with the clubs, and like the behaviour of the kids is like they're so hardworking. And like the parents are all there and everyone's quite obedient. It sounds quite weird, but that's kind of how they act, they got that respect. And every single child says thank you to him when he leaves. Most of the time kids will just leave and they'll just run and they'll think that they're having a hot dog or whatever. Every single child goes to say thank you and they make a point of it because they really want him to like them. And it's your approach and how you are with them. It's very, very different atmosphere. So I'm pleased some people are going on work experience with you, because of course you guys have only experienced your own experiences. It would be really good for all of you at some point to maybe come down and have a little watch what's going on, not necessarily even to help, just to see the session.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be possible at any
Yeah,
point.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Obviously they'll tell you in advance, it won't all come at once. But just to sort of see the sort of stuff you're doing, and just a different atmosphere.
I think a lot of that as well comes down to kind of obviously consistency, but you know, like respect. So respect to players, expecting respect back to coaches. You know, and I think it's communication. You know, communication with people make them feel good. They know, kids will know whether you're there to kind of like, you know, that you're trying to give them everything. You know, all your energy. Try and pass on all guidance, and also provide
Time in, so I used to play tennis, and like you were always down, you always managed to sort yourself out. Is there anything you can do as a coach that could help young people in Guernsey deal with the psychological side? Because the pressure just seems to be, I don't know if it's more in football, I don't know why, like, I don't know, Man City, for example, my child's team, they've lost like 6 matches. What's going on? They've got the same players. It must be psychological to a certain
The
degree.
biggest thing is the football psychological.
Yeah.
There's not a lot in it. If you look at players, say at your age now, 17, 16, 17, 18. If you look at all the sort of top players or most in academies, pro academies, say, there's not that much in it between seven. If you looked at took the 7 midfielders out of every club, you're talking tiny differences in terms of technique, tactical awareness, and everything else. But the big factors is the psychological, the ones that are able to believe in themselves all the time, be confident. When they're losing, they believe they're going to win. They think they can pull something off. They back themselves. They try things. They make a mistake, try again. Make a mistake, try again. Those are the differences. Guernsey's, I think a lot of, if you think about a lot of top footballers out of Guernsey over the years, top island players, probably in different sports as well. One of the big reasons a lot of them never went to professional is because psychological. Nothing to do with their skill, technique, everything else. More to do with psychological aspect. It is a big thing in football, and I think to see that a bit as well. It's almost like at certain age groups, I'd rather win 10-0 than have a tough 2-2 or 3-2 loss or 3. You know, so you see a swarm of players will generally go. Better players on the island will go to better teams, even though they're smashing teams 7-8-0. But still stay. So there's not a general. So the league becomes a 2-horse race. There's 2 good teams. The rest not that so good. You see it all the way up to the senior team. So I guess for children, in terms of coaching, you do have to address it, not take the easy option. You know, if I go right, okay, we're picking teams now. Generally, the kids, especially 8, 9s, 7, 8, 9s, maybe 10s, will want to go into the best team, even though they know it can be easy. So I'll consciously then spread out the teams. And then it's about having conversations. Some kids will say, I don't want to play with that player, I don't want to play with this, I want to play with him. So it's just having those conversations about, no, it's not about that. I want you to build your leadership skills, you know, how do you think he feels or she feels if you're saying that. So it's teaching, and that's probably more important than teaching the technical stuff and the fancy stuff, if you like. Those bits of teamwork, good attitude, key things.
That's a really good idea, picking someone who's actually really good with maybe a weaker team, then there's more leadership that they have to take on, and they have to work harder if they want to win, and pull everyone up with them rather than just putting their mates down.
Exactly. And they might be used to scoring loads of goals, but for this game, with this team, they might have to play in defence to stop their team from conceding. And that's all good. And I think you look at how footballers become, maybe in other sports as well, elitist. You know, so I don't want to play with that player. I want to, you know, they're not good enough to be playing with me. And if we buy into that as adults and as coaches, and what kind of things are you teaching people? You know, if they think they're too good to play with other people, you know, no one's too good to go.
I always think when you see sort of radio sort of interviews with people who have like been the best British people, or even like say from knowing Alex Scott, they're always humble. It's not the arrogance that even if they show that, and they might go on the pitch and jump around and be arrogant, because that's part of their character that they need to get them energy levels up. But they're humble people, and those people work harder than everyone else, and they don't just accept it as natural talent. They know they've got to work, and yeah, that kind of like creates a good work ethic.
Absolutely. Yeah, you see it with all Alex and Myers, great examples. Joe Adams. You know, they are not only got talent, but the hard work and the attitude. The attitude is so good.
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah. I say you're welcome to come down and have a look, or if there's anything that after you've left, if you want to shout me an email, I'm happy to kind of any bits of advice or anything I can answer, then we will try to. And wish you all good luck for your course and your future careers, what you decide to do.
Perfect. Thank you so much.